Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and oh wow, this book. So one of you told me this book had a wild ending, and indeed it does. What book am I talking about? None other than Ghosts of Fear Street, book number 21, The Creature from Club Lagoona. Now, okay, so I got some issues with this book in particular because it does something that I feel like is the number one worst thing you can do as an ending to a book, but then it flips that. So I am super torn about this thing. Let me give you a little bit of background. So this book is all about a boy named Tad, who he and his family are going on this vacation to this place called Club Lagoona, which is like an island, and there's a resort, and there's all these pools and like slides and all this kind of fun stuff. And it's like a huge hotel, tons of people are there, all this kind of thing. They have to fly out to this place, and it's kind of out there a little bit. And Tad, he does not like to swim. And what is this resort? It's a whole resort built around swimming and water slides. So he is super scared of going in the water. He does not want to go because he does not know how to swim really. And his family is super into it. They're so excited about it. And when they get to the resort, they kind of start to notice that there's something weird about this place. Or at least only Tad does. Because the rest of the family is loving everything. Except for Tad. He has an encounter with one of the custodians who says to him, stay away from the deep end. And then he sees someone dive off the diving board and disappear in the deep end of the pool. And then he's starting to see strange things like, was that a tentacle or was that seaweed? He doesn't know. He's not sure. And it's up to him to find out what's going on really at Club Lagoona before it's too late. Now, I have to say, this is an interesting one because number one, this book doesn't even take place on Fear Street or in Shadyside at all. It takes place on this island that is far away from Fear Street and Shadyside. So that's kind of an interesting opening piece to it. Now this book is also, it's not really written by R.L. Stine. He didn't really write any of these Ghosts of Fear Street books. This one though is written by Gloria Hattrick. And when I saw that, I was super excited because she wrote Nightmare in 3D, book number 4, which is one of my favorites of the Ghosts of Fear Street series. So I was pretty excited going into this book thinking, oh, Gloria Hattrick wrote this one. This one could be a fun one. And while it was fun, and I did enjoy the ride, like I said, the ending does something that I thought, wait, what? No, you can't actually do that. That is the worst trope of any trope in any book. You can't do this. But she did. Now, you might be wondering, what trope is he talking about? And I would love to tell you, but this is a spoiler-free review. So if you've read this book, you know. Let me just say that sometimes there are books where things happen that aren't happening. And that is all I'm going to say about it. So, in this book, Tad, he is exploring this resort, and I will say there is some interesting pieces here that are very what I thought of as very Lovecraftian. Like kind of a Lovecraft kind of vibe to the monster that is involved here, which I thought was really interesting. I thought that was really well done. When we finally do come face to face with the creature from Club Lagoona, it's really creepy. And I kept thinking, oh, this is a good, like, creepy situation that you've put this family in, and this whole situation that's going on and what's really happening. That's really, really well done. And I thought that was great. I do think it's interesting that Tad, he has like throughout the book this like fear of all the water and swimming. And so he starts taking these swimming lessons with some of the others who are kind of not that great at swimming either and are not really into swimming. And I thought it was great how he comes to have like this little friend group with these other kids that are in this swimming team. And then also like they have a good camaraderie, I felt like, that kind of helped to build up the storyline because Tad's sister, who is kind of the other main kid in the book named Polly, she is so annoying. And I kind of am bothered by this idea of so many annoying siblings. And I know that a lot of people do have like experiences where their siblings were very annoying. I guess I just didn't really have that experience growing up. And I know a lot of people who didn't have that experience. But in a lot of these books, in this series and Goosebumps, there are siblings who are just so annoying. And in this book, Polly, the sister, is very obnoxious. But then Tad has this friend group, which kind of makes up for that, which I thought was nice. There are quite a few mysteries that are never explained. And the book ends on something of a cliffhanger in some ways, because it just kind of ends and it's done. And not in it. It does remind me of one. It reminds me of the ending of Ghost Beach in the Goosebumps series. A similar sort of thing where it's just kind of going, you feel like you've got resolution, and then there it is. This ending that is not really an ending, and it's just kind of going to continue after this page ends, but in a way that you're like, that's not really satisfying. It's not exactly creepy. Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening with this? I'm not really sure. So I felt like the ending was highly unsatisfying. But then, like I said, there are some great moments in between, like when they come face to face with a creature. That was so well done and so ominous and so creepy. And I have to say, this book is more intense on the kind of ominous violence. And what I mean by that is it's off screen, or off page, I guess you could say. You never actually read about what happens, but there are definitely some deaths in this book. And some characters do not make it out. They're all real side characters, but they still do not make it out alive, which I thought was very interesting for one of these Ghosts of Fear Street books to do. This book, I'm a little torn on it, like I said. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience of reading it. This was one of the ones I read while I was at the beach as well, so it was kind of like a fun beach read in that sense, and a little ominous of a beach read. But I think if you're a Ghosts of Fear Street fan, sure, you're going to want to read this one because you want to read all the Ghosts of Fear Street stories. But this book had just such a wild ending that I didn't really love, and it was unsatisfying to me. So I would say that The Creature from Club Lagoona, I would give this book a 3 out of 5. It was still fun, I still enjoyed it, but the ending was very unsatisfying. Definitely not the best out of the Ghosts of Fear Street ones that I've read, especially when you have ones like The Ooze or like Nightmare in 3D, or even, I know some people don't love Fright Night, but I really loved that one. I thought those ones were all super great and a lot of fun to read. This one just is not quite in that category, in my opinion. It falls a little bit, and mainly because of the ending. I think if the ending had been stronger, even with that trope that this author plays with here, and then kind of reverses in a way, but even with that piece in place, I think the ending, if it had been a little stronger, this would have been a lot better of a book. So have you read this one? What did you think of it? Like I said, didn't really love it. It was fine. It was just a fine entry in the series. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye!